There's nothing in the world like the feeling of making something with your own two hands. Like the feeling of thinking up an idea, picturing it in your head, and then making that idea come to life. There's nothing like the feeling of planning it out, putting in the work, and then seeing your thought become a reality. What I'm making here is called an overhead shooting rig. It's a way for me to mount my camera above this table so I can make videos easily. The idea is this. The last video I made about radical politics, I shot it on my phone, and that was fine, but it got really annoying to set up all my equipment each time I wanted to shoot. The idea with this overhead shooting rig is that all of my equipment, my camera, my lighting, the tools, they're all in place already. So that way when I have an idea for a video, I can skip the setup and jump right into the execution while the idea is still fresh. I have to be honest and say that I got the idea from this other person who makes cool overhead movies. But the actual contraption itself isn't the point of my video. The point is that this project was, in a roundabout way, a form of political work for me, and that fact made the labor more empowering. Let me back up. 2017 is really fucking weird. Politically, we're living in a time where shit is fucking nuts right now. Plus, technologically, we're living in a time where many of us are just bombarded with information and analysis about all that fucking nuts shit. The result is that this overwhelming amount of analysis can easily lead to a type of paralysis, to a vicious cycle of reading articles and posting articles and writing your analysis and sharing someone's analysis, and after a while you realize that it's all really, really disempowering. When analysis leads to paralysis, the antidote is doing something, making something, organizing a political action or group or event. It doesn't have to be any huge undertaking, just something to shake yourself out of this cycle and to direct your political energy out into the real world. That one feels better. Analysis leads to paralysis, but action leads to satisfaction. I've talked with a lot of people who might pause here and say, well, that's all cool and great, but I can't really be an activist because I'm too shy to be out shouting and marching in the streets, or I'm not good at organizing events, or I'm too old to be involved with that, I have kids. But that's not really how it works. All those statements are just based on this made-up cliche of what it means to do activism. There's actually meaningful work for everyone to do. Check this out. This blue thing represents your gifts, like things you're good at, passionate about, or resources that you have. And this yellow thing represents the needs that you see in the world, things that appall you, all that pent-up political anger, those things that make you say, something's got to be done about that. This is where you feel passionate. This is where you feel pissed off. Able, angry. The question is, where did those things overlap? This green area is a good place for you to discover some types of resistance work that might be most effective and engaging for you. For me, I can build things and make videos. And I also got angry at seeing so much watered down liberal content online. So I made an overhead shooting rig so that I can make some radical videos so that people who want to take action know that there's an alternative to just being liberal. So what does that overlap look like for you? If you love biking and you're furious about fossil fuel extraction, maybe you organize a bike ride along the route of a pipeline to raise awareness about its dangers and organize to shut it down. That's not a hypothetical example, by the way. There were some really awesome people who just did that. If you're passionate about teaching and you're furious about the school system, maybe you create an anti-school or a rad after-school program. This overlap could look like a million different things. It could look like hosting self-defense classes or running clubs for people who are targets of repression, or like building garden beds in your neighborhood, or helping your neighbors fix their bikes, or babysitting for your friends so they can participate in activist groups too, or fundraising for people who are facing legal trouble, or shutting down a frack site, or organizing a network of safe houses that provide actual sanctuary for people facing deportation, or growing food in the abandoned lot across the street. Directly dismantling oppressive institutions is important work, and so is creating alternatives. We need it all. Maybe for you, this overlap looks like joining an awesome project or group that's already going on. And maybe it doesn't. That's okay. Your work doesn't have to fit into some preconceived notion of what activist work should look like. My work definitely doesn't always fit into that preconceived notion. Like, hello, an overhead shooting rig isn't the first thing that comes to your mind when you picture radical activism, is it? It's not like I read a direct action manual and it was like, step 3, build an overhead shooting rig. You're not going to listen to a Rage Against the Machine song and ever hear the lyrics, overhead shooting rig. I just saw a place where my abilities could intersect with the things that made me furious, and then I got to have fun building something. So what ideas are you picturing in your head right now? And what would it look like to bring those ideas out of your head onto the drawing board, and then, most importantly, out into the real world?